In this video, I'm sharing with you how I put together some kitchen DIYs using Dollar Tree items that I know you're going to love, so make sure you stay tuned to see how everything came together. To get started on this first DIY, I wanted to make this little farmer's market stand because I am going to be making some little fake eggs to display a little bit later on. So I thought it would be so adorable to have a little farmer's market sign next to that. So I'm using one of these little wooden square signs. I'm going to turn it around backwards so it kind of makes a little shadow box. I go ahead and fill in the holes. And then I'm removing this little cardboard piece that came off of one of these little signs. It was already kind of glued on there crooked, so I knew I wasn't just going to display this as normal decor, but I was going to use it as a DIY. And I'm using the truffle brown chalk paint to go along the edges. Of course, I do not recommend going out and purchasing any of these items. You definitely could make these with items that you already have on hand, because me and my entire family, we have all been staying in for quite a while now. So these are just items that I have purchased a couple weeks ago that I am just excited to get to use. I had already planned out some of these projects, but you definitely can replace any of these items I'm using with things you already own. Like instead of having that farmer's market sign, you could use stickers to decorate your own little farmer's market sign. And then I'm also going to make a different version of this a little bit later on in the video. But to keep going with my vision of this project, I have these candlesticks. I was going to use the original candlestick holder that I use on every project for this, but I saw this one and I thought it would kind of give it a different look. So I'm painting the glass brown, and then I really wanted this to lighten up because all of today's projects do kind of have like a bright white theme to them with the white and black modern farmhouse kitchen look to it. So that's what I'm trying to stick with here. So I did go over and dry brush the white over the top of the brown and let that dry, and then I did the same thing for the candlestick. And then I'm hot gluing that little sign down in there. You also could make something like a printable and just write out farmer's market. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you enjoy whenever DIYers include printables that they make, or if it's just you don't have a printer, or if it's something that you don't like to mess with. I would love to know, because a printable is something that I would like to look into if you all think that you would like to use it. So then, because I love everything distressed, I'm going over this with a piece of sandpaper, and it just adds the scratches in there on the paint and gives it a beautiful texture. I think it makes it look more like faux wood, but I am loving how that little sign looks. You could leave it as is and just kind of set it in a tiered tray, but I really wanted to elevate this little sign so I could set it, like I say, by some little eggs that I'm going to be making, or you could put this with a little floral bouquet. But it is that simple for just a few dollars to put together a beautiful little sign like this. To spruce it up a tiny bit more, I had peeled off one of these burlap bows from an Easter sign, so I just am reusing that and hot glued that. And then I wanted to add just a touch of the greenery. I'm obsessed with adding this little greenery to everything right now, so I thought it was too cute to add that in the corner. And this is how it turned out. I think it is adorable. It definitely looks rustic farmhouse. It could go with like the more modern theme or more of a rustic farmhouse theme, but I think it was gorgeous paired with this little milkweed canister that I picked up from Dollar General, as well as some of these little faux eggs that I'm going to show you how I make up next. So it is super simple. You don't really need a DIY on how I painted these eggs, but I do want to show you the technique I used to kind of help you out a little bit. So I'm hoping that everyone's stocked up on these eggs. I know I have some of these left over from last year, and then I had went ahead and picked these up as soon as they come out, a couple extra. So I do have a few of these on hand. I was so excited to turn these into more of a kitchen DIY. I don't do a lot of the farmhouse animals in my kitchen, like the cow, the pig, but little touches like these I think is just adorable, and they can really incorporate into any kitchen, especially like whenever you have the farmhouse neutral look. You can pretty much put anything with it. But these little speckled eggs are so colorful for Easter, and they're gorgeous, and I did buy some to use on Easter DIYs, but I'm just wanting that neutral look for this farmhouse project. So I didn't have any skewers or anything to put these eggs on, so I am just using my my tiny little paintbrushes and sticking those in. These eggs have the perfect size little hole at the bottom for these paintbrushes to slide in there, and then I'm painting them with my white chalk paint. And I ended up only having to do one coat, but I did put like a thicker coat on there, and then I'm stabbing them just in a piece of extra floral foam so they could stand up and dry really nicely without kind of rolling around on the table. So I'm letting these 100% dry so that I'm not mixing any paint, but I wanted that speckled look back. I did go ahead, I kind of wanted to look like the original white speckled egg that came in this set, but I did go ahead and paint all of them because I am wanting them to look exactly the same. I know that a toothbrush works the best for this. I just didn't have any extra one, and for sure is a time that you don't want to be using up all of your good items because you don't know when you're going to get out again. So I am just trying this Mod Podge brush because the bristles are a little bit stiffer, and I dipped it in some thin acrylic black paint, and then I'm just kind of running my thumb over there. You can tell that I wore the gloves because this is really messy, and I just love how it looks with those little speckled black, not really polka dots, but like black speckles all over it, and they just are adorable, and I think they're really cute. So I'm really hoping that shows up on camera so you can see that. And because they kept shifting around and falling out while I was trying to move forward on this project, I did end up hot gluing each of these down. Using some of this adorable black and white gingham ribbon that I picked up at Dollar Tree, which goes perfect with all of today's projects, I tied that around to give it a little bit extra detail. I just double knotted it in the front without doing a full-on bow, but I think these are adorable and they go perfect with my new farmer's market sign, and just really beautiful for that neutral farmhouse kitchen. And of course, I love making my own DIY wall decor, so I had to make a kitchen piece, or this would be perfect in the dining room. But I had found one of these Dollar Tree frames that says gather around the table, and I think that is the perfect farmhouse look. But I really wanted to upgrade it instead of just leaving it in that Dollar Tree picture frame that kind of makes it look cheaper and downgrades the wall art, in my opinion. I wanted to really dress it up. So using one of these square signs, I know that I had purchased these same ones last year. I actually had just went ahead and picked up an extra few of these at the beginning of this year. And like I say, I'm just wanting to really make that little piece of art as large as possible and give it more of an impact, because I don't like hanging up tiny pieces of little Dollar Tree art. So I am taking this square piece, and there's a couple different options. They have the black and white scrapbooking paper from Hobby Lobby, or more of a softer gray and white. Usually I am used to using more of the gray and white buffalo check or gingham because it does have that softer look, and I love the neutral right now. But for the kitchen, for some reason, I just enjoy the black and white a little bit better. So that's what I decided to use. I cut it down to size, added some Mod Podge, and then go ahead and Mod Podge over the top of this black and white buffalo check print. The print that I purchased is more of a rectangular, like 8.5 by 11 printer paper size, but I am wanting it to go more with the square size for whatever reason. I think the square looks so pretty. I guess it kind of looks more than just like you're printing out an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and kind of framing it. So it kind of gives it a different look, so all of your decor on the wall is not the same. But I went ahead and just kind of trimmed off the bottom and then used that for the top, so I knew that I was getting the exact amount off, and without cutting off those little black greenery pieces on the top and the bottom. But they're not greenery if they're black, but they're just You know what I'm talking about. Those little designs. I thought that they were so cute. So as you can see, it just looks gorgeous on that black and white. This was a mistake I made. I should have just turned this over and completely covered the back with Mod Podge. I ended up, for whatever reason, not thinking, trying to rush and get this done. I just applied Mod Podge around the edges and it just caused a big bubble in the center. I know better than that. It's just when you're in the moment, you're getting stuff done, sometimes you just don't think about getting it done perfect. So anyways, I did have to try to struggle with getting that as flat as I could. But in the end, I was able to smooth it out enough and get another layer of Mod Podge on it. So the next thing I'm doing is going to drill a couple holes because I think things look so much nicer when you don't just hang everything up with twine. Of course, I do that too, and it is an easy fix to get something hung up on the wall. But if you have the nautical rope, it's just a gorgeous touch. It makes it look so nice to hang this up with something besides just the thin jute string. I didn't have a large enough drill bit, so the hole in the sign was a little bit too small for the nautical rope to fit through, so I did end up having to wrap the end in tape so that it wouldn't ravel and I could push it through there. But this is how it came out. Like I say, I think it looks so high-end with that nautical rope and the gingham background. I think it is a gorgeous piece and a perfect inexpensive way to upgrade that $1 Dollar Tree wall art. Moving on to the next project, I had found some of these little wooden circles and they were actually called wreath ornaments or wreath charms, and they came with this little twisty tie that you're supposed to put through the hole at the top and attach this to like a wreath or something. And there has been so many times that I have wanted a wooden circle from Dollar Tree, so whenever I saw those earlier this year, I grabbed up like 10 of them, so I was so excited to use these. And then I thought this was a perfect kitchen farmhouse sign, but it's actually damaged. I don't know if I purchased it that way or if I brought it home and it's kind of set in a pile and got damaged. So I knew that I was going to have to DIY it or use it for something else because it wouldn't even stand up. So I love these little 3D animals on here. They have the chicken and the little pig, and I thought that that would be perfect and so adorable in a farmhouse kitchen. So I'm going to try to use my little scraper and try to peel those off. They kind of broke apart, but I didn't mind that because I will be able to glue them back together. I like to use large jars just to put some of my utensils in, so that's kind of where my head was doing this project. I wanted to make like a very inexpensive, simple utensil holder, and I thought that this little wooden circle would be the perfect ornament. It wouldn't have to be a fancy utensil holder if you could just really decorate it in a really cute way. I knew the cow would be too big to kind of hang off of the utensil holder, so I used the chicken and the little pig, and I thought that I could just glue them back on top of each other. The first thing I wanted to do was start with a nice white clean base, so I did paint a few coats of this white chalk paint over all of the spring florals. Where I had to kind of pull them apart off of the sign and cut them away from the cow, I ended up having to kind of trim his little feet and then color in everything black.
I don't know what I could say to convince you to hang around when you don't have to. There's so much that I'm still keeping to myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe.
After I got them all glued down, I wanted to kind of sketch out how I wanted to write Farm Fresh because I don't trust my handwriting enough just to go for it. I was going to do one of these fine tip Sharpies, but it just wasn't working right. I don't know if it just had got ruined or if it was in paint or what was going on, but I decided to use one of my fine tip paint markers, so I wasn't able to trace along the pencil perfect because it is a wider tip, so I just went ahead and it still kind of showed me where to put it so I didn't run off of the edge. And then I'm putting this little stitching around the edges with this paint marker, and I think that just made the perfect adorable little tag. And then like I say, I didn't have anything fancy for the utensil jar. If you had like a larger crock or some kind of pot that you wanted to use, you could just wrap this around there as well. But just to show you how I'm using this, I have one of these wide mouth jars, and I had just picked this up in a large pack from Walmart, so I have a ton of these these on hand and was excited to get to use them. I wanted to paint it in more of a neutral, warmer color since the tag is white and black. I didn't want to paint the jar white, and I have so much gray in my home and my walls are gray that it is fun adding that little pop of warmth color. I did hate that I didn't get inside of the jar perfect. It's something that I will go back and do around the top a little bit better later on. But for now, I'm just looping my jute string through this tag and I'm going to double knot it in the back, and it was that simple to put together. To dress this up a tiny bit more, I'm adding another one of those black and white gingham bows to this. I just think it looks so cute right there at the top and makes it look a little bit nicer and put together. But that is how cute that it is. This is a super large tag, so it would be even prettier, I think, on a larger jar. But I do love how it looks right now, and this will be perfect to put by your stove and add in some wooden spoons and spatulas and whisk just to give it an adorable little farmhouse look. And then moving on to the next project, I just couldn't let that little sign go to waste. It had that beautiful farmer's market written at the top, and I was planning on using the extra cow, but I didn't get to using that today, but it's something that I will throw in my crafting stash and use it on a later project. So to make that farmer's market into a sign, I wanted it to be framed. So you have seen me do this before a few times on my channel using the reverse canvas method. So I am cutting with a utility knife that canvas off of the back, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull it off with a pair of pliers because you can see this leftover canvas from the front. And you're just left with this gorgeous, perfect size little frame to frame that farmer's market. And I think that is just cute enough to be a sign on itself. I love tiered trays and have small shelves in my kitchen, so this is just a perfect way to have a cute little sign just using some leftover items that I already had. So since this is made out of that super thin cardboardy wood MDF or whatever we're calling it, I was able just to take a pair of scissors. It is a little bit harder to cut through, but I was able to trace out how large I needed it and then cut it down to size, and then just hot glue this directly on the back. Before I do hot glue this down though, I did forget, but I did add a little bit of paint. I added some white and then went over it a little bit later with some of the mineral color and just kind of blended in with the faux wood so you couldn't see that ugly piece that the chicken was glued down on. Because I wanted the sign stained or the frame stained, and I didn't want to mess with stinky stain just to stain a tiny little frame, or even a lot of times I water down paint, and I just was in a mood to get this done super quick. So I remembered for my trying out Dollar Tree craft supplies video, if you haven't seen that, I'll link it down below, but I had purchased these markers and they're supposed to like fill in little scratches, but they like are really nice and pigmented, so whenever you start to color, like it really puts out a lot of color. So I was so excited I was able to color the entire frame with that marker, and it did a really nice job. So I, like I say, hot glued this directly on the front of this sign, and it put together this gorgeous little sign that I can keep and use it on my shelves or my tier tray, and just an adorable addition to use up, like I say, all of my leftover craft supplies. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. It really helps my channel to grow. I hope everyone is staying home and staying safe at this time. Thank you for everyone who has been checking on me. I have just been homeschooling and working and spending this time with my kids, and I'm kind of making the most of it. So I really hope you all are staying safe. Make sure you are subscribed if you want more DIY content coming your way, and let me know in the comments down below what you're working on. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting. Bye.